Kessler, and Emily McGreevy. Entering the ring now to be the first heat of senior showmanship. Hannah Copley, Rachel Cottrell, Samantha Flowers, Sydney Harris, Michaela Kessler, and Emily McGreevy. Judge, this is your class.
Well, good evening. It's certainly a privilege to be back here in Hocking County, and certainly enjoyed being down here last year, and now getting to come back and work through your showmanship out here tonight. And that's kind of near and dear to me. So that's something that's very, very important in my family, and it's something that we don't take lightly. And I can assure you, when we go to the county fair, we go to state fair, any national show, any place we go, I can tell you right now, the first thing my kids ask is when is showmanship. They don't ask when the show is. They ask when showmanship is, and that's something that your hard work and effort gets rewarded directly, and it's because of what you do. It's not necessarily because of the pig that you have, and it's certainly you got to have one that works with you, because it's definitely a tag team out here. It's got to be the kid and the pig both, and you got to be able to put it together. If one of them doesn't quite work out, then you probably don't get towards the top, but it certainly goes directly to effort that you put in with your project throughout the year, and that's why it's something that's so important to me, because that's number one on my list. Whether it's in pig shows or sports or anything else, it's all about effort, and that's what we like to see. We talk about, and we pulled 3 of them out. We've got 2 cuts here today that in the senior division, where we're going to get our top 5 out of those two heats put together. So we got to figure out our top 5. We took 3 out of this particular drive. I think that really did the job for me. I guess some of the things that I like to look for, and the most important thing, the thing you'll hear me probably talk more about, the 2 things really. One of them is flow, and one of them is focus. And those are the 2 things that I'm going to be looking for more than anything. And to explain flow a little bit is something that's kind of like water. It's kind of when you see water flow, it flows gently and gradually, and it makes nice, wide, easy turns. You never see it turning real tight. It's always on the move. It never stops, and that's something that I want to see throughout the day. The hogs have got to be on the move, and when they're on the move, they look their best. If they're in a little tight circle when they're turning, they don't look their best. A nice, wide, gradual turn, those are the kind of things we want to look for. And then we'll look for a lot of the extra things that'll really separate kids throughout the show. But the flow is the main thing. Focus is that eye contact, knowing where I'm at all the time, knowing where you're at, being in the right position on the pig, knowing your surroundings, knowing the other exhibitors and where they're at, and finding those holes and being able to get out in the open. And I think those 3 individuals on the far end did that very, very well and excelled in this particular drive. That's the reason they're in the pen down there. The 3 that are left in the ring, maybe just not quite the control. Didn't necessarily take the opportunities to get those hogs in the center. Just like this, when you have a big opening out there, you have to find a way to get there and get out there and be seen. And I can tell you, when you come in the ring, be ready to go, because we may only take just a few minutes to pull some kids out. You may have a short opportunity to get in a pen down there. Take full advantage of it, and that would be my first suggestion to you. When you hit the ring, take advantage of it. Nobody's going to walk up and hand you a trophy. You got to go get it, and that's what I want to be looking for, is the ones that are going to come out and get it. I think those 3 individuals did that. The 3 out that are left out here maybe just didn't have quite the control, wasn't able to get them out in the center, but out here working hard. Let's give these 3 girls a nice hand as they take their projects back. We'll work your next heat.
Entering the ring now is the second heat of senior showmanship. Bo Nyheiser, Jacob
Spicer, Delaney Tootle, Haley Van Viver, Larissa Van Viver, Autumn Wade, and Lane Woodard. Also,
Conrad. The sponsors for the 15 to 18 showmanship classes is Teresa Enderly and family.
Well, another good group of seniors here, and really doing a good job of keeping their pigs in the center of the ring and giving me some profile looks. I think the thing is the two that we put in out of this particular drive probably did a little more as far as finding those holes and staying out of the crowds and being able, when everybody's going one direction, they go the other direction, or find that gap when they're going one way, and they can hold up just a little bit and kind of shoot the gap and get up through there. Probably did a little better job of angles, and that's the thing. We want to see more than just back and forth, and it kind of like a marching contest. We want to see different shots of that pig. We want to see the pig coming at us. We want to see the pig going away. Basically, it kind of takes some of the work off the judge. If you show off your pig and you show all those angles, it gives you a lot better opportunity in the market show as well. So I think the two that we put in are probably ones that maybe had a little more intensity than some of them left in the ring, and a few of them in the ring did a good job, as like I said, as far as profiling, but just didn't have that intensity and maybe just kind of going through the motions a little bit too much for me, and that's something we'd like to see, that intensity picked up just a notch. But I think a really good group out here of seniors that are heading back to the barn. We're going to work through those down there for our top 5. Let's give all these kids that are taking their projects back a nice hand.
Judging today is Jamie May from New Holland, Ohio. He's the owner of May Family Show Pigs, a 20-style show pig operation. He's a former hog buyer for IVP Incorporated and currently a district sales manager for Channel C. He has been judging over 25 years throughout the Midwest. Thank you, Judge.
Let's put our hands together for our top 5 senior showmen. Well, it's just you just feel the intensity, and it's just like deadly quiet in here. I'm thinking, wow, does everybody have earplugs in, or are they doing what? Because it's really, really quiet in here. Really picks up the intensity. But I love it. Love to see the job that the 5 kids out here are doing from start to finish. I mean, all of them just doing a phenomenal job, and it really comes down when you get kids that are talented, that know what they're doing and know how to drive one and know how to get a stick on one. It really comes down to personal preference and kind of the things that you like to see. And I kind of already explained that a little bit. And I like to see the flow, and I like to see the intensity. And those are the 2 things that are always going to rise to the top. And the basics are the same with pretty much every judge. And it kind of depends on what you want to do and what your priorities are. And really, I look at it as, okay, what kid do I want driving one for me? And that's how I kind of try to put them in order. And both these are getting a little cranky, and you know, that's the other thing about it. We got the 2 individuals out here, probably had the 2 toughest hogs to drive out of the 5, and they're still out here. And I guess that tells us a lot, because there's certain things you can do with ones that start to kind of run out of gas on you. You can either push them to where they completely quit on you, or you just stick with them and do just enough to keep them driven and keep that stick on them and keep them going the way they need to without completely running them out of gas. And I think both these young ladies have done that very, very well. For me, I think there's one that probably just did a little better job in those turns more than anything, as far as nice, wide, easy turns, and really staying on them and keeping them driven without making them stop and without making them back up, especially when they're right in front of me. When you get that certain shot right there in front of you, we get behind them. We want to see them flow. I think one of them did a little better job with flow and probably a little more intense. The young lady in the green shirt's going to win. And as I said, it really comes down to personal preference, because you got one that's a little more intense. It's got one that's just really tough to drive, and she really stuck with her and got her driven. And the gilt was kind of complaining a little bit and started to give up here a little bit on the end. But you know what? If somebody else was driving that gilt, that one would have gave up a long, long time ago, because they'd have got upset with them and lost their cool and got frustrated, and they'd have made them quit completely. And that means a lot, because if you can keep your cool and you can keep them driven the way you need to, that goes a long, long ways. Young lady in second here does a great job. One that's really calm and cool, and I love that about her. I love how relaxed and easygoing she is. I guess for me, I'd like to see her pick up the intensity, and when you get into that situation where you find that hole, maybe hit it just a little bit quicker, one that just maybe took a little more time. And then, like when I got behind her, the first thing she did is step right in front of that gilt. The gilt was traveling perfect, but when she stepped in front of it, made her stop on a dime. And we got to keep them traveling. Stick off to the side, let them go. If I go to cross over, then go ahead and flip around their head. If not, let those hogs travel. When they're in the best position, you don't want to stop them. You don't want to make them stop. A couple times she would get out in front of me and want to make that little tight turn right out in front of me instead of letting her flow out and just making little wider turns. But one that I love how calm and cool she is, and still gets that gilt stuck, even though that she's one that was kind of running out of gas as well. Young man coming in third, another one that did a really, really nice job. Really did a great job of profiling this hog in the center of the ring. And that's that. If it was a profile contest, certainly he could have been one of the top 2. I think really where the 2 young ladies excelled this young man is all those different angles, and they gave me those head-on shots and those going-away shots, and really, really did a nice job of flowing with that. He would tend to want to just go back and forth and did a great job at that. We just need to see more angles of that pig. We need to see that barrel going straight away. We need to make that nice 3/4 wide turn, make that barrel come straight at us and give us that chest shot as he's coming right at us. If we could do that and just pick up the little things, and that would certainly get him up a notch. But one, I love his eye contact and his focus, how great of a job he did of profiling that barrel. Just want to see some more angles. Young lady coming in fourth is one that, just for me, in personal preference, is maybe a little too nonchalant for me. It's one that I'd like to see her pick up the intensity just a little bit. Did a great job of using the entire ring, and that's something that's very, very good, but at the same time maybe used a little bit too much and just tended to get a little too far away from me at times and just didn't get up there when we needed to get up there and really get it done and be in that 10 to 15 foot range. She would kind of let that gilt just kind of drive out a little bit too far for me, and then would also kind of tend to turn her back on me a little bit as she's going away instead of keeping her eyes focused on me. She did a great job when she was up close. She'd get away a little bit, would tend to kind of turn her back to me, and just didn't have that eye contact and that ring awareness quite as the top 3. Young lady coming in fifth, another one that does a great job, very good eye contact and focus, one that this pig just wouldn't drive forward quite as well. We just like to see this hog get up and go, and that's something, and I say it's a team thing, and this gilt wants to kind of stick her nose in the dirt and do a lot of starting and stopping, and man, sometimes you just get them that want to do that, and there's not a whole lot you can do about it, but her pig just didn't flow quite as well as the top four. We just want to see that gilt get out and travel a little bit better. She wanted to kind of stop and turn. When I got right behind her, she jumped in front of that gilt's head and stopped her on a dime, and then she wanted to go quick back and forth between it instead of letting the gilt just travel out, and we just want to see that flow just a little better. But tremendous group of seniors there. Let's give all the senior division one more nice round of applause.
The results for the 15 to 18 showmanship are: in 5th place, Larissa Van Viver, Star Farmers; 4th place, Michaela Kessler, Mountain Crossing; 3rd place, Bo Nyheiser, Power and Club Kids; 2nd place, Rachel Cottrell, Born in a Barn; and 1st place, Sydney Harris, Cantwell Clovers.
Now is our first heat of 12 to 14 showmanship. Michaela Daubenmeyer, Kendall Glenn, Heidi Hamilton, Brooklyn Harris, Andrea Klingelhafer, Caitlin Myers, and Brittany Nelson. Judge, this is your class. The Logan Daily News will be taking photos of Grand Champion and Reserve Champion winners with their animal at the end of this show. Please remain in the arena for photos. All first place blue ribbon winners for this show will be taken as a group with your ribbons. Please meet at the announcer's stand after all winners have been announced for this show. Thank you.
great way to start off our next division. I think a really good group of, I guess we got all young ladies in here, and I think all of them did a really nice job. Another one that was really close to young lady with the Berkshire Barra there, just tended to do what she just did, kind of cross between me and the Barra just a little too often, and then would kind of tend to get on the opposite side of the crowd instead of making her way up and basically kind of covering other people up. She kind of let other people cover her up. But I think a really good group. One thing I would say is several of them came in and shook my hand there at the beginning, and it's certainly very courteous but unnecessary. It's something that really don't need to worry about it until you get done with the class and you get your final placings. They kind of come up and do it. I mean, preferably, and I certainly wouldn't take away from a kid for doing it, but personal preference, I like to see them when they come down the aisle. When they get to ring, they're focused on driving that one, and they're not focused on what's going on as far as making the right thing, making the right appearance or anything else. Get that pig driven. That's the number one thing. Get that pig driven. Then do your thank yous, your congratulations, whatever it is after the class. But as I said, I'm never going to take away from a kid. I'm just going to say it's unnecessary. So it's something that really focus on getting them driven. But I think all three of these young ladies do a really, really nice job out here. The ones that are left in the ring maybe just didn't give me those looks that the three that we got in the pin did. But a great group to start this particular division. Let's give all these kids a nice hand as these four go back.
Entering the ring now is the second heat of 12 to 14-year-old showmanship. Jamie Stumbo, Wesley Stumbo, Gracie Swope, Kaylin Wardman, and Ethan Winterview. Judge, this is your glass. The sponsor for the 12 to 14-year-old showmanship classes, Trophy and Rosette, is the Union Furnace Livestock 4-H Club.
We're getting some tough ones to drive. We're going to help the young lady get her guild in there. I think another really good class. I think another one was close as the young man in the pink shirt over there was really, really close as well. Just making some mistakes. I guess they wouldn't like to see him get his hand off of that pig. He wants to kind of keep his hand on that guild all the time and to try to keep it going. And I get it. It's something to try to get him going, but just kind of losing control a little bit there, and tending wanting to let his pig get behind me there a couple times. We've got to make sure we keep that bear out in front. I'd just like to see him keep that hand off of him a little bit. The young man in the white shirt out there, I told him, I said, that's probably as good eye contact as I've seen of any kid that's been in here tonight. So awesome job to him as well, doing a great job out here. Doing a fantastic job. I love it. Absolutely love it. So great group of kids out here, and like I said, the two that we put in just kind of fit my pattern a little bit, and I think that's what we're going to stick with all day. It's what I always do, and I'll never change that. So congratulations to them, the 5 that are left in the ring, also doing a great job, all 5 of them. Just weren't able to get them in a pin today, but let's put our hands together and show them their appreciation.
Judging today is Jamie May from New Holland, Ohio. He's the owner of May Family Show Pigs, a 20-sow show pig operation. He's a former hog buyer for IBP Incorporated and currently a district sales manager for Channel C. Jamie has been judging for over 25 years throughout the Midwest. Thank you, Judge.
have a big hand for our top 5 in this age division. I think 5 really good individuals, and I think really the 2 that's left out here probably has got a few style points, and that's the thing, that's part of it, it's showmanship, and if you can get out here and get one driven the way it needs to be, and the big thing is you want the focus to be on the pig, not on you, and I think that's a very, very important piece. If you do something that's maybe distracting or anything else, it kind of takes away from your pig. You basically want to be invisible out here, and I think that's what most of these individuals do very, very well, and I think they get them driven, but at the same time, they're very smooth and cool and collected, and again, we got a couple of them that's not the easiest ones to drive, but they're still getting them driven, and that's the big thing about it, and they're not all marked up, they're not all wore out or anything else. They're getting them driven, they're getting everything they can out of them without overdoing it. I think for me, there's one that makes a few less mistakes, and that's really kind of gets down to that point, and when you get your priorities, I think both these young ladies do a lot of things that I like. One of them makes a few more mistakes. One of them tends to cross over between me and the pig instead of flipping around the head. Just those types of things. One of them probably hits those gaps just a little bit quicker, I think. For me, the one that does it the best and makes the least amount of mistakes, young lady with the Belgian Gill's going to win the class. And once again, just like the last division, just happens to be the one that has the toughest one to drive. So that's a very good sample there of that you can go out here and do well with one that's not cooperating the greatest for you. And I think she did that. And you look, I mean, you barely ever see a mark on that gilt anywhere, and she's still getting her driven. The gilt spot her almost from the time she walked in, but still had her just had that head just jet level where it needed to be, and really had that gilt out here traveling. Did a tremendous job of showing me all the angles, always in the right position on that gilt, and that's something that's very, very important, is being on that hip and knowing the right time to get up on that head or to get around that head or whatever you need to do, always in a very, very good position on that gilt, and that's certainly something that got her towards the top. Young lady in second, certainly not take anything away from her, another one that's very cool and very good driver, and it's one that's she's so relaxed and easygoing, and a bear that fought her a little bit, but she still had to kind of get on him a little bit, even though she's really relaxed. She got on him enough to get him driven, and I think that's what you got to do. I think the big difference is, like I said, when she would go to make that turn, she would tend to step between me and the pig instead of around the outside of the pig, and that's something you always got to remember. If you're in between me and the pig, I can't see the pig, so you got to be on that outside every time, and that's something that when you get to this level, you have this caliber, little mistakes like that are certainly going to drop you down a notch, but I think another young lady just did a really, really nice job. Young lady in third down there coming out is one that's very intense, has very, very good eye contact. I guess for me, didn't use quite as much of the ring. We didn't get that flow out of her that we got out of the top 2. A little bit too much starting and stopping and maybe turning in tight little circles, and just didn't get that pig to flow like the top 2 did. But I think another one, I love her intensity, I love her eye contact, I love the way she finds the holes and gets out there in the center of the ring. Maybe just needs to let that pig travel just a little bit more. Don't quite cut him off so short. Kind of let him go a little bit. Another thing, too, you kind of want to put your hand behind your back there. I know that's something that people do. Again, personal preference. I think it's something that looks maybe a little unnatural. So I take that offhand, get it up close to your whip so it looks a little more natural. Not that had anything to do with it. I'm just telling you something about personal preference. It's something that it sometimes can be a little distracting and looks a little unnatural. But she did a great job. Just tended to kind of cut that bear off a little bit too quick. Young lady in fourth coming out. Go ahead and bring your pig out. Another one that I'd get right behind that pig, and she'd step right in front of it or use the whip or something to stop the pig. Instead of letting her get on out and go, she would kind of want to stop him and turn right in front of me, or maybe even back up the pig into me. And that's something we got to let those hogs travel. We got to let them get out across the ring. In the particular heat, she did as good a job as anyone as far as giving me the profile. And I didn't get quite as much of the angles, and actually she gave me a going away angle, and that's what made me put her in a pin. So very good job on that, and just need to see a little more of that, a little more of those head-ons, a little more of those going-aways, and just kind of let that pig travel out. Another young lady did a really, really nice job. Young lady in fifth, really her placing was determined by her pig, and that's something, like I said, it's a team, and we had a couple that worked tough, but this one just flat quit on her, and it's one that just wouldn't drive for her. She wasn't able to get into the pin down there, and then we came back out, the gilt just kind of completely quit, and if we can't get them driven at all, then it's kind of hard to see them, and certainly if no fault of hers, I would love to see her out here with one that would drive, because I don't think there's any question that she would get towards the top. She's one that could give you some of those style points, and really knows how to get one driven. You can see that focus in her eye. her positioning, everything she does is very, very good. The guilt ended up being her placing today. Great group of that age division. Let's give all those kids a real nice hand.
The results for the 12 to 14-year-old showmanship are: in 5th place, Gracie Swope, Union Furnace Livestock; 4th place, Heidi Hamilton, Power and Club Kids; 3rd place, Caitlin Worthman, Kicking It Country; 2nd place, Michaela Daubenmeyer, Cedar Falls; and in 1st place, Brooklyn Harris, Cantwell Clovers. Thank you, Union Furnace Livestock 4-H Club, for sponsoring that class. Entering the ring now is the first heat of 9 to 11-year-old showmanship. Mackenzie Daubenmeyer, Parker Glenn, Anna Hamilton, Carson Harris, and Hayden King. Judge, this is your class. Judging today is Jamie May from New Holland, Ohio. He is the owner of May Family Show Pigs, a 20 sow show pig operation. He's a former hog buyer for IBP Incorporated and currently a district sales manager for Channel C. Jamie has been judging for over 25 years throughout the Midwest. Thank you, Judge.
Or I guess we got two cuts in this Division II, like 5 and 5 or something. I think the and we start to lose a little bit of the focus and the eye contact, which is pretty typical of age groups as you get down to this level, and that's kind of some of the things you look for, and certainly not going to make, they're going to make a few more of the mistakes than what some of the older ones did, and maybe just don't have quite as much control, and that's exactly what we've got here. The two young men that are left in the ring still doing a great job out here, just didn't have the control of their pigs, weren't able to get them out in those holes, didn't have quite the eye contact and the focus of the three that we got in the pin, and that's certainly the only thing that they did, and it just, it's kind of you can't get them all in, that's just kind of the way it works, so you got to get the ones in that you feel do the best job in your mind, and I think that's what we did with those three. Let's give both these young men a real nice round of applause as they take the project back.
Entering the ring now is the second heat of 9 to 11-year-old showmanship. Kenzie Myers, Jackson Stimmel, Haley Stumbo, Jaden Woodard, and Madison Cosper. Judge, this is your class. The sponsors for the 9 to 11-year-old showmanship class is Kevin and Missy Nelson. The Logan Daily News will be taking photos of Grand Champion and Reserve Champion winners with their animal at the end of this show. Please remain in the arena for photos. All first place blue ribbon winners for this show will be taken as a group with your ribbons. Please meet at the announcer stand after all winners have been announced for the show.
another great group in this 9 to 11-year-old division. I think the two we got down there that we put in out of this one again is kind of the same things, that flow and keeping those hogs on the move and really having them out where they're visible, and certainly some things we'd like to change about each one of them. We'd like to make a few less mistakes, and we'll work on that with them as they come out here. But I think all of them do a really good job. The ones that are left in the ring, maybe some different things. Maybe it's an eye contact thing. Maybe it's a little bit too much standing around thing. But there's little different things, and one that just didn't have quite the control. But there's little things that separate them and get them into a pin. And I talked to each one of them about those things and the things we like to see them change. And hopefully they can take that and bring it back the next time they come in the ring and really use it and help them get better each time they come out here. But a great job by all these, working very, very hard. Let's give all these kids a run of hand.
The Chief Logan FFA alumni will be meeting October 17th at 7 p.m. in the Logan High School Lecture Hall.
Well, we just kind of left all 5 of them out here. We just wanted to kind of let them do their thing and see them drive and kind of let themselves either work themselves up in class or down in class. And that's sometimes you just kind of got to do that and let them work through it. But I think all 5 of them doing a tremendous job. Let's give these 5 individuals a real nice hand. I think, to be honest with you, I think there's one out here that really excels the class and just kind of everything they do and so smooth and natural. And I went over to the pins and told each one of them something that they need to try to do just a little bit better when they come out here, and that comes into play too. That they take that and they use it, and that's I think most of them did that very well. All 5 of them really did it well. What I told them to do, they kind of fixed it when they came out here, and that's what we wanted to see. I think one of them that just was kind of at a different level to me today, and just really not making any mistakes and really smooth and easy going. That young lady in the center of the ring with the belted bear is going to win your class. I think she's so calm and cool and getting this bear driven, and you can see he's just not worked up at all. And a big part of that is because of the way she drives him. That's a big, heavy muscle, big back kind of a bear. A lot of times those hogs that are built like that will run out of gas pretty quick. And if you push them too hard, they're going to quit. And that one is the one that she just did exactly what she needed to do to get him driven the way she did. I guess when we saw her in the heat, she did a lot of profiling, maybe not quite as many angles and those types of things. And I told her to show me some more angles when she came out, and she did exactly that. But at the same time, she didn't overwork the bear to get him driven to show me those angles. I think a young lady that just did a tremendous job from start to finish. Second today is going to be the young man in the green shirt here. I think another one that does a really good job, and his thing when he came out in in the division there, I just couldn't get his eyes up. He wanted to look down at his pig all the time, and we really needed to see some more eye contact out of him. He changed that drastically when he came out and did a much better job. His pig just wasn't quite cooperating with him, wasn't just getting that one driven quite as well. But one you can tell he's been on a pig or two before, because he has very good positioning on the pig and where he needs to be, always in the correct position. Did a much better job with his eyes. Problem is, he kind of cross over from time to time, Benny. We kind of get between me and the pig, kind of turn his back to me a little bit. We just need to get that focus a little better and get those eyes up even more so, and just kind of focus on where he's at in comparison to where I'm at, and make sure he's always in the right spot on the pig. But another young man that did a very, very nice job. Third's a young lady in the purple plaid shirt here. I think another one that's a very, very hard worker. And I told her not to overdrive that gilt when she came out here, because the gilt wanted to get a little bit quick on her. And sometimes when she'd go to turn her, she just, instead of just kind of using her whip to guide her a little bit, she'd come up and just kind of pop that gilt, and it'd make her kind of jump and take off. And if you just kind of relax just a little bit and don't overuse that whip and just do what you have to do and nothing more, then sometimes that gilt won't get quite as fired up on you, and she'll drive a little more slow, a little more relaxed. The one that has tremendous eye contact and focus and positioning does a great job, just kind of maybe overdrove the gilt just a little bit and got her a little bit too quick on one that probably didn't necessarily need it to be that way. But I think another young lady that just did a great job. I think fourth and fifth, you got two completely opposite type things here. One I think that's very experienced and very smooth, just as one that doesn't drive, and one that makes a few more mistakes. I think to me, the young lady on the far end is going to be fourth. I think she's one that does a great job. The gilt just never did really drive for her, just spent way too much time on the fences and wasn't able to get her out in the middle. And I told her she would, in the heat there, she would come up and she'd get a good drive right at me, or maybe have that gilt in the perfect position, and she'd want to hit that gilt in the face and make her stop. And she needs to just kind of let that gilt travel, just let her go and do her thing. And I think maybe that's part of the reason the gilt kind of quit on her a little bit, is she just kind of got up on her head maybe when it wasn't necessary, and just kind of frustrated the gilt a little bit. Or maybe she just needs to let her travel, let her drive, and kind of do her thing just a little bit more. Young man in fifth here, one that really got this bear out where he needed to be, and that's something that you certainly appreciate. You know, you got to see that hog, and that's number one, and that's the reason he got into the pen in the first place, is having that peg out in the center of the ring. Just doing some little things like he would kind of have his hand in his pocket there in the first cut, and I told him to fix that, and he did. And positioning on the pig, just way too often gets in between me and the pig and just gets out of position. He maybe kind of loses track of where I'm at. He'll kind of turn his back to me and just kind of stand in between me and the pig. We just got to get his positioning a lot better, which a lot of that stuff comes with experience. But just a great group of 9 to 11-year-olds. Let's give all those kids a real nice hand.
The results for the 9 to 11-year-old showmanship are: in 5th place, Jaden Woodard, Kicking It Country; 4th place, Mackenzie Daubenmeyer, Cedar Falls; 3rd place, Kinsey Myers, Howard and Club Kids; 2nd place, Carson Harris, Cantwell Clovers; and 1st place, Anna Hamilton, Power and Club Kids. Thank you, Kevin and Missy Nelson, for sponsoring that last class. Entering the ring now is beginner 11 and under: Melvin Anderson, Heidi Barrett, Hunter Ganson, Simon Glenn, Caleb Hamilton, Justin Klingelhafer, Chloe Sater, and Joshua Stumbo. Judging today is Jamie May from New Holland, Ohio. He is the owner of May Family Show Pigs, a 20-style show pig operation. Former hog buyer for IVP Incorporated, and currently a district sales manager for Channel C. He has been judging over 25 years throughout the Midwest. Thank you, Judge. Judge, this is your class. Grand Champion and Reserve Champion winners with their animal at the end of the show. Please remain in the arena for photos. All first place blue ribbon winners for this show will be taken as a group with your ribbons. Please meet at the announcer stand after all winners have been announced for this show. Thank you. The sponsor for the beginner 11 and under showmanship is Diane Sargent, County Treasurer.
I told that young man that was impressive. I don't know if I've ever seen a pig do a balancing act for quite that long. So that's ask him if he was able to teach him that or not, because that's something that he could probably get paid pretty well if he could get him to do that all the time. So great job there. I think, and this is our beginners class here, and kids that it's their first time showing, and certainly you kind of expect to see exactly that, and you just don't see the positioning and maybe on the wrong side of the pig, and don't see as much eye contact and that type of thing. So you kind of work your way down through there and get the ones that maybe do the best job of getting them in the middle, and still you kind of get glimpses of those things, and you talk to each one of them, and hopefully you can teach them a little bit of something, and the next time they come out they do a little better, the next time they're in the ring they do a little better, and that's what you want to do. You want to improve. Every time you come out, you want to get just a little bit better. But I think both those young men are really working hard, doing a great job. Let's give those two young men a real nice round of applause for working through the top five.
The Chief Logan FFA alumni will be meeting October 17th at 7 p.m. in the Logan High School lecture hall.
Go back and congratulate them, tell them great job, their efforts have paid off. That's the reason they're in the ring right now, because that's what their families do, that's what they do. They work their butts off to get in the champion drive, and every one of these have done it, and in every year past, please give all those winners from this year and past a great big round of applause. Congratulations on spending the time you have instead of playing video games or going to the mall or going to the lake, whatever it is. These kids spend time in the yard working with their pigs, and that's how they get to this point. I think all of them have done a tremendous job, and congratulations to each and every one of them. As we talk about our finals, and we do a champion in reserve out here, and I think you could go so many different ways. I mean, you really could, and age means absolutely nothing to me. I'll use a 9-year-old the same as I'll use an 18-year-old. It makes absolutely no difference. If they're doing the best job, that's who's going to win. I guarantee you can ask a lot of people. I've used a lot of young kids to win showmanship because of intensity levels and that type of thing. But it's just like this right here. You think, man, he's been driving them forever. There's a reason for it. It's not by accident. That's a great time to give a speech to just see who's going to keep going and who's going to quit, which pigs are going to give out, but which kids are going to give out. None of them have. And that's awesome. I love to see it. I love to see it. But we go back to the things we talked about all day. We talk about that flow. And we talk about being able to really make those nice wide turns. And in this deal, it's just perfect being able to navigate. And it doesn't mean the person that's standing on top of me. It means the person that has their pig visible, that hits those holes, that sees those holes develop and have the vision to do it and get out there and say, wow, look at this one in the center of the ring. And still show me the angle, still show me the going away, the coming on views, all those different things, but just staying so relaxed and then also having that focus and that perfect position and style points and everything else that goes with it. And it's all personal preference once again. But I think there's a couple of them out here that really, really do the things that I like to see, and a couple of them that I'd really, really like to drive pigs for me any day of the week. And the first one is that young lady in the green shirt right there. She's going to be the champion. As we talked I think easily for me, she does so many of those little extra things. Better the next time, that's because she didn't overwork it in the drive. And that's the thing. So to be able to come out here and navigate through all this and keep that pig calm and really get it done, and every time I look up in that hole, that's the pig I saw. And there's another one that I always saw in the holes, and it's the exact same situation. I thought it was very, very close in class. It was very close here. Young lady in a black shirt will be your reserve. Congratulations to all these kids. Phenomenal group of showmen. Okay, and I guess we're going to go on down through top 5, and I've kind of already got that in my mind anyway, because we kind of worked through, and I know the ones that are going to be in contention and everything else, and it's something that, I think it's great that we do top 5. We do top 5 at our county, and I think it's something that's it gives those kids something to shoot for. If they're third, they want to be second. If they're fourth, they want to be first. Whatever it is, and that's what we got to do. We got to keep them going. I think another one I thought was just tremendous in class. This young lady right here in front of me is going to be third. Congratulations. You've done a great job too. And as I said, that's a big stout barra that he's finally starting to get tired a little bit, but we've worked that barra a long time. For one that's made that way, for her to keep that barra intact and keeping him going the way she has is just tremendous to me. I think she did a great job all the way through, and I think she definitely pushed those two. I think she did a great job. Congratulations to her. I think fourth, it gets a little closer to me. I really kind of had that top three in mind, and I think fourth and fifth, you could go a lot of different ways. Like you could flip a coin, you could do a ton of different things. But I think it goes back to those ones, which ones can navigate, which ones did I see always coming up, and that would be in that whole young man, the blue shirt down there is going to be fourth. Another one, as I said, maybe just didn't do quite those extras and give me quite as many of those angles, specifically as those top two young ladies. I think, but one that did a great job of profiling and really, really getting it done. I think there's, another one out here that just flows so nicely and one that just makes nice wide turns and easy and just so easy going, but always in the right position. And that's the big thing, is always being in the right place at the right time. That's this young man right in front of me. He'll be your fifth. Congratulations, young man. Congratulations to all your exhibitors. Great group of Showmanship kids.
The results for the sweepstakes showmanship are: in fifth place, Caleb Hamilton, Power and Club Kids; fourth place, Bo Nyheiser, Power and Club Kids; third place, Anna Hamilton, Power and Club Kids; second place, Rachel Kostrel, Born in a Barn; and first place, Sydney Harris, Cantwell Clovers. Thank you, Ralph's Ice Cream and Chieftain's Spain Shell for sponsoring the sweepstakes rewards. We're going to take a 5-minute break before beginning the fair to finish class. A reminder to all exhibitors: in order to sell an animal at the Hocking County Junior Fair Livestock Sale, this card must be turned into the fair secretary's office no later than 4 p.m. on Thursday of the fair. These cards must be turned in no later than 9 a.m. on Friday of the fair. You must include animal tag number or weight and poultry pin. The Logan Daily News will be taking photos of Grand Champion and Reserve Champion winners with their animal at the end of the show. Please remain in the arena for photos. All first place blue ribbon winners for this show will be taken as a group with your ribbons. Please meet at the announcer stand after all winners have been announced for the show. Thank you. Entering the ring is the fair to finish class. Kaylin Worthman, tag number 693. Ethan Worthman, tag number 694. Hayden King, tag number 715. Lane Woodard, tag number 303. Hayden King, tag number 713. Jaden Woodard, tag number 734. Lane Woodard, tag number 735. Jaden Woodard, tag number 733. Michaela Daubenmeyer, tag number 686, and Mackenzie Daubenmeyer, tag number 684. Judge, this is your class. The sponsors for the Fair to Finish class are Josh and Naomi Hamilton, Jeff and Jackie Phillips, Nancy Vermillion, Mike Dobermeyer and family, Mike Dobermeyer and Nancy Vermillion.
Well, first off, let's congratulate all of our Fair to Finish exhibitors out here. That's great to see kids get these hogs out here that's been Fair to Finish there or at home on the farm, whatever it is. And I think that's for those of you who think it's an easy task, you ought to try it because it's not. It's something that takes a lot of work and a lot of painstaking effort because you have a lot of times things just don't go as planned and things go wrong. And whether you have sows that you can't get bred or that they can't have pigs or they don't raise pigs or the pigs don't turn out, there's so many different things and you have to just sink so much money into them to try to make something, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. So congratulations to all these kids for bringing these out. I think it's a really good set for your Fair to Finish group out here. I think, when I talk about hogs, things that I like, and we always talk about balance and structure, and that's what we always start with, and that's what we always end with, because if we don't start from the ground up and the feet and legs aren't good enough, then the rest of the body really doesn't matter because they can't get to the weight they need to be anyway. And balance and design and those types of things are stuff that you can't feed. You can feed muscle, you can feed fat, you can't feed balance, you can't feed design, you can't feed structure. These hogs got to be square and true off of both ends. They got to be heavy boned. They got to be sound and functional and loose made off of both ends. They got to have balance to where they look good and still give us a show pig look at the same time, but put it all together in a blended package. I think there's a couple out here that really do it, and certainly want to give them their due being out here in the ring because it's a really good group of Fair to Finish hogs. But I think one to me that just kind of overpowers everything as far as back shape and really having a ton of spread up high, being really big legged, but just having tremendous range of motion and kind of puts everything together. Young man with his shirt unbuttoned there is going to have your champion Fair to Finish. I think got the gilt. Certainly, is she perfect? No, there's a couple things we'd like to change. She's a little softer on her pasterns than what I've seen as ideal. I think it's one we'd like to make her a little stronger on her pasterns if we really want to be critical of her, and she gets a little shorter and steeper in her rump. But I think those are things when you look at all the positives that she does have and how massive that gilt is and the way she comes at you with a big busted open blade and chest floor, big barrel rib, and like I said, does a ton of back shape and a ton of spread up high, but just blends it all very good together. I think it's a really nice gilt to win your fair to finish show. I think reserve gets a little closer to me. I think there's a couple of them out here that really come into play, but I think the next one that kind of does a lot of the same thing and still has that range of motion, but still has that cleanliness up front and has that trendy look about her, but still tall-shouldered and good-looking, really massive top. This young lady here with the blue spotted up back hole right here. Yes, you. We'll have your reserve fair to finish. And we'll talk about that one. I think it's that's one that's really busted open up over the top of her blade. She's one that really carries that loin edge up over her shoulder blade and just blends it in very nicely. Gives up a little bit of rib shape in comparison to our champion. Gets a little flatter and drier in the rib than what the champion does, but one that gives us a great look, one that gives us range of motion and really sound and flexible off of both ends. Great group of hogs, and before everybody gets out of here, please put your hands together for the people that run the show. Do a tremendous job of putting this thing together, and it's not an easy task, and they do a very good job at it, make it look effortless, but it's not. So thank you for everybody's hard work out here. Thank you for the opportunity to come back and work here at Hocking County. Most importantly, thank you for the chance to come and work with your young people out here. Everybody have a great rest of the fair and enjoy your evening.
Congratulations to Grand Champion Fair to Finish, Lane Woodard, and Reserve Champion Fair to Finish, Mackenzie Daubenmeyer. Thank you, Judge Jamie May, for your time. The Logan Daily News will be taking photos of Grand Champion and Reserve Champion winners with their animals at this time. Also, all first place blue ribbon winners need to bring their ribbon to the show arena for a picture.